Do we really need the drama?
The Dan York State of Mind program is brought to you in part by Lookout Rhode Island and Taco Comfort Solutions.
So it's just been kind of a zoo at the General Assembly all over the codification of Roe versus Wade. Good evening. Thanks for joining us on what has been a rainy Thursday, but a nice weekend to come. State Senator Lou Raptakis is back. He was here recently, but I needed to bring him back in here because he's got an objective take on this abortion battle, and he also has an idea to resolve it. I'm not sure how much traction he has with it, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me. We'll talk about that, all right? I know it's, you know, rainy days and Thursdays always get you down after the Stanley Cup, just right through the fingers. Headline here, it's not like you haven't seen it. Oh, the shock, the horror, and an honest evaluation by the coach.
Outplayed us at certain moments of the game at all positions, and that's why they won. You know, their second goal is a great play by their defenseman joining the rush. I mean, they finished some plays when they had to. We didn't. Obviously, Bennington made some big saves for him in the first period. We didn't get it done.
And that was it. You know, the phrase that hockey fans and players use, he stood on his head. Well, Tuukka Rask stood on his head for most of the playoffs, no doubt. But Binnington, the goalie for St. Louis, stood on his head early in that first period and really took a beating, rejected every puck, caught a couple of pucks by Gumby moves, and there you go. It just, you know, you get a sneaky, stupid goal in the first period with Rask, and sometimes it just doesn't line up. I will tell you this, though. You know, if I'm paying $5,000 for a ticket, I'm standing on my head the entire time. Bruins fans kind of went to Sleepyland. You know, all this hype, just not for nothing. Anyway, yeah, I am a Ranger fan, but I'm a Bruins empathizer. I wanted to see them win last night. Anyway, it's amazing. Life does go on. You still have bills to pay, whether the Bruins won the championship or not, but I know it hurts. So does this. The President of the United States doesn't understand the difference between right and wrong.
President Trump says he wouldn't necessarily alert the FBI if foreign governments offered him dirt on a political opponent.
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen. There's nothing wrong with listening.
When pressed on whether he would want that kind of interference in U.S. elections, the president disputed the term interference.
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it.
You know, the 25th Amendment is something that should be rarely thought about, never mind exercised. But I mean, if you accumulate a lot of this guy's thought processes and what his public statements do to put the United States of America in a tough spot, could you do the math on that? Is that an impeachable offense to say something like that? I don't know. You know, we're getting to the point where the accumulation of his thoughts are impeachable. Never mind the Mueller report and everything else. Somewhere along the line, this has got to be resonating with the American public, right? I don't know. They found the shooter, allegedly. What was a terrific weekend is marred by this particular event. The mayor, who has been quiet about it for the most part, did come out today and speak about this.
I'm just so saddened that, you know, such a great celebration in our community is shadowed over by what happened. I think the most frightening part is you don't know exactly what happens in the moment, and every second, you know, feels like an eternity. I want to give great credit to all the police officers who were on the scene. You know, not only the incident, but also, you know, afterwards. A lot of frightened people in the crowd. There's a lot that goes into crowd control.
Look, the authorities did a fine job there. Both, you know, this weekend and in pursuit, it seems. This shouldn't prevent you from going downtown. But can I just say something as a bonus there? Can we get some kind of public reaction to the toddler game that this mayor continues to play? You know, I will tell you something. The double standards are very interesting and ironic in a way. If a female mayor, say the governor, if her children were younger, was walking around with a baby on her hip all the time, the you-know-what would hit the fan all over Kingdom Come. Now, I know there's all this gender equity, parent equity, sharing responsibility, modern American guy, Mr. Mommy, whatever the thing is that lends everyone to kind of say, oh, that's nice. Like the first time, it's like, oh, that's nice. The second time, it's kind of like, really? The third time, it's like, come on, man. Because he's not available in persona to the sometimes frictionalized environment that's necessary between public servants, the press, and the public. It's almost as if the toddler is a shield for having to fulfill your First Amendment obligations. It's just too much. Can somebody say it other than me? Because I don't hear anybody saying it on the record. But the whole doggone world is like, you believe this? But in this day and age, everybody's afraid. Anyway, it just, he can afford a sitter. Enough. All right. Here's the latest headline on this abortion thing. It's crazy. Crazy. You're pretty fired up about it. You're upset that we're mired in this drama, while we're not paying attention to a lot of the critical nuts and bolts of financial issues the state has. Correct?
Correct. We spent a lot of hours, days, weeks, months, and now it's up to years to try to find a solution to an issue which is, important to all sides, to all Rhode Islanders, both sides of the equation. But it's got to be an issue where it should have been resolved. There should have been compromise. And like I said always before, if we brought Henry Kissinger here to Rhode Island, I don't think he would have found a solution. That's how bad it's got to be.
Right.
So polarized.
Right. Senator Raptakis, welcome back again.
Pleasure.
Your executive summary on this is well. Let me just go through it. We had a compromise. We did. There was a compromise. The first vote went down 5-4. In the Senate Judiciary Committee, on which you sit. Reportedly, or if you do the math, Senator Archambault was the swing vote. He wanted some things changed, and he got some things changed. And the minutia of what bill, sub A, B, what was square root of C, hike, whatever the document is, basically what you have is a compromise where some things were changed. Guardianship got more disciplined in this thing. The quick child legislation was removed. You should look this stuff up because I'm moving fast. And then thirdly, a doctor's got to legitimize in writing why he or she would offer a third trimester abortion. By and large, I'm guessing you're okay with those changes.
Somewhat, not 100%, but I don't want to go there because that's going to be probably where you got one side that's satisfactory, they're happy. They want the bill to pass. They want the bill to be debated out on the floor, and they want the governor to sign it. But on the other half, how do you bring compromise with the other side? The pro-life folks are not happy. In my opinion is, look, what is out there?
Let me just establish. You voted no in the first time, and you voted no again.
We didn't get a chance to vote no.
No, they moved it to committee. Right. So the big story here is, I'm so sorry, the big part of the story that we need to get to here is, procedurally, we'll talk about the merits. That's my bad. I took you in the wrong direction. So to follow this week, the Senate Judiciary Committee had the revote scheduled. And Senator Archambault proffered that he was okay with it and that he would be supporting it, and the vote would go 5-4 and then go to the full Senate
floor.
There are 5 what are called ex officio positions that are in play here, where on a rare occasion 2 Republicans and 3 Democrats any one of which can come in and vote on an issue, and the 2 Republicans at least proffered by being in the room that they were going to exercise ex officio rights, which if they were the only ex officio votes would have turned this thing into a 6-5 loss.
Defeat.
There were shenanigans there too.
Oh, of course. I mean, properly,
Senator Elaine Morgan and the minority leader were in the room, but not on the dais. What was that all about?
Yeah, they should have, look, they should have sat on the dais and they had the opportunity to object in whatever the case. You don't object, a committee member, whether it's ex officio, you don't sit in the audience and proceed to be a state senator or a state rep sitting in the audience and to have your opinion. You sit with the other
committee members because you're allowed to, and you should be part of the discussion.
But again, Senator Morgan's mistake was yelling from the corner of the room her objections, and then she even failed when the bill was reported through the proper process on the Senate floor that it was transferred, and the chairwoman already stated during that debate that you have the opportunity to object on the Senate floor. Nobody from the Republican caucus, all 5 members, not one stood up and say objection. They had the opportunity. But again, it goes back, you can decide which way you want to go on this one. It's a rule, it's not a law.
Well, the GOP says that they've got an argument for Senate oversight to review this situation, and they'll bring it there, and
sure,
we'll see. But that just adds more drama to what is the main dilemma here.
The problem I had was, I see it unethical because I'm part of the chairwoman, because we had weeks of testimony, maybe 100 witnesses that came and testified. The 9 members of the committee heard hours and hours, and we lost that opportunity to vote up or down. And to transfer to another committee, which there's not going to be a vote.
The Democratic leadership could have ex officioed in, but here's the rub. Senate President Ruggiero didn't want to be on the record voting yes on the issue to put it to the floor.
Or no, either way.
So he backed off, and he calls the Republicans move a stunt. If they behaved more properly, there's a precedent for exercising that ex officio right.
Sure.
So, all of this gobbledygook aside, the senator has a solution, he thinks. We'll talk about it when we come back. So just to refresh, this is how it went a couple of nights ago.
I am transferring this bill to the Committee on Health and Human Services.
Senate Judiciary Chairwoman Erin Lynch Prada transfers the highly debated Reproductive Privacy Act after she says she learned Republican Senate leaders were planning to vote the bill down as ex officio members. The Senate rules let all members of leadership vote in any committee.
Senator, this is my committee and I am the chair.
Republican Minority Whip Elaine Morgan says she was ready to vote against the controversial legislation.
We have a committee process to stop bad bills. This is a bad bill. This is not right. This is murder.
Senate President Dominic Ruggiero, who is pro-life himself, approved the unusual and dramatic move.
I think it's a good piece of legislation. I am not a supporter of it. But I felt that it should go out to the floor where more than 9 people had the right to discuss this particular issue.
Tensions remain high on all sides as the legislation heads for a 3rd attempt at passing out of committee.
Like, what are we going to do? Just keep passing this law from committee to committee to see which one it gets out of? But I shouldn't be surprised since there isn't respect for babies in the womb.
There is no way that one senator should be able to attempt to single-handedly silence not only those of her Senate colleagues, but also tens of thousands of Rhode Islanders.
And we needed to roll up our sleeves and do the work and get it done and move it forward so that we can continue with the business of the rest of the state, and that's what we were trying to do, and I feel as though that's what I did today by transferring the bill.
Yeah, all right. So a cagey move by the chairperson in concert with the leadership. Promise you, the leadership, where am I? The leadership doesn't want ownership of this at all. But the Senate president, is in a difficult position, just like the Speaker of the House. They both want to vote no on this bill themselves, but they want the floor to. I wish they had that kind of disposition for so many bills, huh, Lou? If things that they don't agree with never make it to the floor. This is one of the rare circumstances with things that for something they disagree with to make it to the full floor. But here's the funny thing. You're watching this at 7:30 and at midnight. The session has already begun and maybe ongoing, I'm not sure, in the Senate. So this is a little bit post. We'll have to catch up on what success Lou had. But you're going to offer an amendment to put a trigger mechanism in
Correct,
this.
for next week.
Explain.
Yeah, we're waiting for the Senate HEW committee to vote out this piece of legislation. And like I said before, when I was
Well,
coming back...
was that scheduled to happen today?
Today, correct.
Right.
So we won't see this bill till probably next Tuesday.
Got you. All right.
On the
So
Senate
on the floor. So this is timely. So next week you will offer an amendment.
On the Senate floor.
And that will be?
And this will be a compromise amendment. I feel that this would be something that the other side, the pro-life side, would probably be happy to see, is put a trigger mechanism in and not have this legislation go into effect until, if the Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. Because this is the whole argument we've been hearing. Last year, the governor wanted to call us in a special session, panicking. Everything was unraveling, that we got to get called back. It was a year ago, July 2018, that the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe versus Wade. Roe versus Wade is in trouble. It's not. A year went by and nothing's even happened. So that's the argument that a lot of these folks, the sponsors of the legislation, have been pushing and saying that we need this to pass. Well, if the Supreme Court never overturns Roe versus Wade, and women in Rhode Island still have the opportunity, as we have for the last 46 years, to be able to have an abortion legally under the statutes of the state of Rhode Island, well, what's the rush? And I keep saying this. So if nothing happens, the Supreme Court might not decide this, maybe a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. So to find a compromise, this would be the best solution. It would probably satisfy a lot
What's
of
the
pro-life folks.
precedent for? We have sunset clauses,
Provisions.
Where sunset simply means that a bill expires on a certain date.
In a year or two
But
after
I don't
it's
remember
enacted.
ever in our state statutes that we have
trigger
something that begins on some other event.
I'd have to look back. I mean, there's so many bills out there, so many years of legislation that I've seen, but it'd be interesting to see if we do have a trigger mechanism. We do have the sunset clause, bills expire, we test them out, but I think we should go in the reverse. I think we should say that, look, if folks really mean what they mean, that you're afraid that Roe versus Wade is going to overturn this legislation, well, have this ready. And at the other side, you satisfy the pro-life folks. I'm not sure if you're going to satisfy all of them, but I think a good majority that I've talked to in the last week or so, that this is a very good compromise. And I think this is diplomacy.
Are you doing any vote counting on this?
Look, if I take the 5 Republican members and the 4 members of the Senate Judiciary, that's 9, and then you count maybe 3, 4, 5, 6 other senators, you got up to 15. All you need is another 4 to 5 to make it a 2018 vote to make this amendment pass. So the math is in the right direction.
Would you have the Senate leadership who are hesitant to support this concept?
So. I mean, I hope so. It's a good compromise amendment that would bring, hopefully, the sides together.
Have you talked to the Senate President about it?
I did.
What's he say?
He hasn't offered an opinion yet. I'm hoping to get that up. But we've got time. I mean, this is not going to be debated on the Senate floor, probably maybe Tuesday or Wednesday, depends the 48 hours.
You lobbying hard for this behind the
Absolutely,
scenes?
absolutely. I think that it's a good amendment, a good compromise, and it'd probably bring both sides maybe together.
And what bothers you most, you've been saying to me about all of this, is that there is so much nuts and bolts work that needs to be done in the General Assembly right now.
We've got some serious problems. Yesterday, we voted silently a major piece of legislation that will affect a lot of small businesses, minimum wage.
And we'll talk about that when we come back. Stay with us. So yeah, a little sneaky stuff on the minimum wage yesterday in the state Senate, huh? This is right up your alley. This is your bailiwick. You've been trying to get a CPI index minimum wage equation in this state for years, and I applaud you for it, because you would take all the arguments out and just tell everybody your idea has always been to.
When I first started the argument, 2 states only had a CPI, meaning politicians stay out of the arena. Let the economic indicators of the region, which we get that information by the U.S. Department of Labor, tells us every year what the costs of goods and services have gone up. We take that CPI index, multiply it by the current minimum wage, and that would be a new minimum wage. Autopilot. 10 years ago, when I started, it was 2 states that had that throughout the United States. I think it was Washington and Vermont. Today, 18 states going on to 20. It's a great idea. But here, we still want to leave it up to the General Assembly. Now, if everybody had an economics degree, I would say go for it. But we're regular people, and I'm sick and tired of watching what the Joneses in Massachusetts and Connecticut, they're raising it to $15 an hour. Yesterday was quite interesting. The bill in Senate Labor came up, and the original bill had minimum wage going up from $10.50 an hour
in
to
committee,
in committee,
Labor
to
Committee.
$12.50. Correct, Senate Labor Committee, to $12.50 an hour. That would have been a 20% increase.
Over 2 years.
A year and a half. that wage would have went from $10.50 an hour to $11.50 an hour for 2020 January, and then January 2021, which is only a year and a half away, $12.50 an hour. Now, here's what gets me. We say, how do we attract businesses in Rhode Island? We know Mass is going to 15. We know Connecticut's going to 15. New York's going to 15. New Hampshire's not going to 15. They're staying at $7.75 and ratcheting it up as the market calls. Now, if Rhode Island goes to $10.50 an hour, applies CPI, it's probably going to be around $11 an hour in a year or two. If you have a business over the Seekonk border, which is what, 500 feet from here, or businesses over the Central Falls Pawtucket line in South Attleboro, dozens of businesses, if you have a $4 differential, that's $4 times 40 hours is $160 a week that a business owner can save times 52 weeks, $8,700. What a differential. Don't you know if we held off, how many businesses would just move 500 feet over into Rhode Island and abandoning Seekonk in South Attleboro on that $4 differential? That is our opportunity, but we're going to blow it and try to match the Joneses and ratchet up minimum wage to $15 an hour because it's great in Massachusetts. A lot of cranes in Massachusetts, not too many in Rhode Island. They're growing. They're growing in all aspects, whether it's business, they're taking care of the educational system, they're growing. And I just don't get it. I really don't get it.
Well, your small business, if you're not aware, Lou is a longtime owner of a restaurant. How long did you have the restaurant?
40 years, and we just
closed.
We just retired the business, sold the property.
The whole way you were paying minimum wage. You understand this stuff? You understand what it's like to sweat out a paycheck?
Exactly.
Or issuing them, right?
And a lot of companies don't pay. We didn't pay minimum wage because there's so much competition for the wages. My only other problem nationwide where we try to follow this $15 an hour, go to CVS, go to Home Depot, go to Walmart, go to Burger King, McDonald's. They're using self-checkouts now. When I used to go into Walmart about 8 years ago, 5 years ago.
Meaning this expense will force them to just cut jobs.
Exactly. They might go out there, Walmart might say, we're going to support $15 an hour, but you don't have 25 cashiers anymore. You're down to 10, and you're going to be down to 7. It's incredible what is happening today. Let the economics determine what the local minimum wage is going to be in the regions. And I think that it would take the politics out, let it grow every year. Look, a few years back, I believe it was from 2006 to 2011 or 13, we had no minimum wage increase for 7 years. Shame on all of us. Minimum wage should have went up. I think right now the true minimum wage in Rhode Island, if we use CPI the last 10 years, would have been around $10.83, which is the true minimum wage.
All right, we'll keep working on it. We'll follow your trigger amendment next week on the abortion bill and get back to
Big week next week.
Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it. State Senator Lou Raptakis. Final word on Tomorrow Next. That trigger idea is a pretty good one. For those who have a conscience on this Roe v. Wade thing, meaning a battle of conscience, it may give them the space that they need. So we'll check on that next week. On tomorrow night's show, she oversees. She chairs House Oversight, and she's ripping on DCYF and a bunch of things. Representative Pat Serpa will join us. And we'll talk to you on the radio at 3 until 6 on WPRO. Good night.